welcome to the Honey and Harry show. I'm Honey, but I'm actually Honeybee today, and
I'm Harry.
And today I have a guest, and it's Mr. Pumpkinhead, Mr. Kevin.
Hi, glad to be here.
We're going to be talking today about Halloween and the history of Halloween and all the stuff that Miss Honeybee does all day long. I have him here today because I found him while I was pollinating.
Exactly. It was a successful pollination for you.
And look what I got. Look how much honey I got today. Well, thank you for being here.
No problem. You know, this is my time of year.
It is your time of year. We have to do a lot of work right now.
Yep.
I have to go take care of all those flowers right now.
Got a lot of blooming going on right now.
A lot of blooming. Yes. Yep.
So here I am.
So why don't you start talking about maybe the history of
the tradition,
all the traditions.
May I take this off?
If you want, you can take it off.
Maybe,
huh?
Look, I'm better looking with it on. Trust me.
Yeah. So I guess let's start talking about like the history.
Well, as you notice, I'm in my kilt.
Yes, he is. Can you see? Can you
get
see
that little kilt? The Irish heritage is a strong influencer of Halloween, and I didn't know that until I started looking it up. But Celts or Celtic traditions date back thousands of years.
Yes,
and they actually had a Halloween festival that they incorporated. For seasonal, it's when summer became winter, fall, and they would celebrate the fall harvest, which a lot of cultures do.
Yes,
and so, but mostly the Celtic culture was all of Ireland, all of Britain, the Isles of Britain, and somewhat northern France when all this began. But they pronounced it S-O-W-N, Samhain. And that was 2,000 years ago, and it was celebrated on the 1st of November, which All Saints' Day is today. Yes. But they would start it October 31st with bonfires, and it was pretty much, to celebrate, and also knowing that there was a cold, hard winter coming up. A lot of deaths occur, and so that's when the Druids, their high priest, would be involved with it. But
wow, that's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I had saw something about that. That's when they would do the big celebration because it was like the end of summer, beginning of winter, and unfortunately, back in those days, there was a lot of death.
Not a lot of medical care back in the there.
Winter.
People didn't live very long.
No.
But they gave a lot of animal sacrifices, and they thought that spirits were mischievous and would come back to haunt them and, destroy their crops and whatnot. But a lot of that was incorporated. A lot of the festivals was, based on that tradition.
So why don't you tell us, like, pumpkins weren't originally carved, right?
Exactly.
It wasn't pumpkins that it started out with.
Yeah, pumpkins weren't around in that area. They were over in the New World at that time. But so they used turnips.
Turnips, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was really, really something. They would carve those out, and the faces were actually what they thought were demons and devils and such, and that was actually to make the visiting spirits afraid and sort of ward them off. But so back
and they used potatoes too, didn't they?
They did at a later date. Yeah, but mostly it's mostly was turnips.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at my notes here.
I can get you started about
I know. Definitely. So let's see. Tell me some of the names. That's what the names of the pumpkins. Like, because I know I was Googling stuff about pumpkins and
names of the types of pumpkins.
Types of pumpkins, because me and my dad did that, and it was like, gosh, what was it, Dad? It was spooky. What was it? It was Spooktacular, Sweetie Pie, Tricky Jack. We found all kind of crazy names that they would say about that, and I just thought it was crazy with some of the names.
There's 100 varieties of pumpkins now, and most of them
Well, I go to the I'll go to the farmer's market. And like you see some weird pumpkins now. Like they have now they have the pumpkins with all those little things on them.
Yeah, it's
like
almost like a cucumber. They have like sticky protuberances, right?
Yeah.
And they don't look. Well, it's a member of the gourd family, so anything that looks like a gourd, but you also have cucumbers in the same family. You have all the melons are part of the pumpkin family.
Yes, it's very
crazy.
It is crazy. It definitely
You used to see big orange ones, and now they're all over the place.
So part of that old tradition, though, we're getting back to like the Celtic area and all that. Soul cakes. I was reading about the soul cakes. If you want to, how they would go to the homes, and I guess back then they were carrying a turnip. Is that what they were carrying?
They would go house to house. That's what it was still a little early for trick or treating, but the custom of visiting people with treats. Was established thousands of years ago, and it was just incorporated, in the New World and Western civilization in modern times for Halloween. But we have,
we got the picture right here. But
Peter, Paul, and Mary incorporated it into it.
But I know the soul cakes. What I had read was that they would go, and if you got a soul cake, if they gave you a soul cake, that you would they would pray for your departed.
Right. And that's, people forget that's where it all started. It was a prayerful time.
It was
2,000 years ago is a lot different than it is now. But,
absolutely.
There was no media.
Oh, I know. The media's kind of ruined, I think. They ruined everything with the scary.
Yeah. We can talk, this part of history, once again, Romans became, part of history like they did with most things. The Romans took over the Celtic areas. They conquered them. By 43 AD, the Roman Empire had conquered most of the Celtic territory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they ruled for 400 years over those countries, okay? And they were two of the festivals from Rome were integrated into modern Halloween traditions. One of them, Hallows Eve, was a festival celebrated in October, the passing of the dead, which was called Feralia. That was one Roman tradition that was incorporated into this. But the one we're seeing here is Pomona was the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol was an apple, okay? And so, which is incorporated in the Celtic tradition of bobbing for apples, which is celebrated today.
Yeah,
so those Romans, watch out, gave us a lot of good stuff.
And they kind of brought everything to the United States, right? All the English, Irish traditions, kind of that's what came.
Yeah, that's what came over later. But mostly, even after that, the Romans, Christianity took over after Jesus was crucified. But hundreds of years later, Rome was now the principal Catholic faith capital. In 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV, is this picture there, dedicated the Pantheon in Rome to honor all Christian martyrs. Wow. And it was called All Martyrs Day. It's the first Western church celebration. And then later, Pope Gregory III later expanded the festival to include All Saints as well as martyrs. And he moved the holiday from May 13th and November 1st.
That's All Saints Day.
Yeah, the 9th century Christian influence spread throughout all the Celtic lands. And then at 1000 AD, 1,000 years after Jesus died, church made November 2nd All Souls Day. Many believe that it was because they wanted to remove any Roman or Celtic or pagan celebrations, from the first to the second.
Oh, wow.
All political.
Yeah.
Yeah, no saints.
And also, I know this doesn't have anything to do with what we were, but I can remember growing up and raising my kids, and some people were very much against Halloween, but it's not evil. It's not evil. It's not an evil, because I know even in the Our Father, hallowed be thy name, and All Hallows Eve, and it's the day before All Saints Day, where we honor all our saints and these people that lived just amazing lives.
Right, and were martyred for their faith.
Yes.
That was the whole reason.
They were martyrs. You're right. That's exactly right.
Well, it was interesting, too, and I didn't find this out. When this came across to the New World, the first colonies were Puritans and Pilgrims, and they were Protestants. They were, of course, they were running away from religious,
persecution.
Yeah, persecution. Yeah, they were. Yeah, and so the northernmost colonies were all Protestants, and so none of this influence really catered to them. And of course, you know about Salem and the witches.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot sort of crossed over and became part of this trick or treat and Halloween.
I know it kind of turned.
And
I don't like the scary, so I don't put anything scary out in my yard. We don't dress in scary costumes.
Yeah. My wife and I noticed that the unicorns now are like, they're like scary.
They
it's
are.
like
everything's so scary. I don't know.
Yeah, the kids. Unicorn's not scary.
But you shouldn't make it scary.
Right,
It should
for
be,
the kids.
Yeah, it should be
using
happy.
Barbie Ferraris as haunted vehicles and such.
Yes, it has definitely taken somewhat of a turn for sure.
Right.
So is there anything else that you can add in that era that we need to talk about?
Well, it started, I'm going to skip a lot. It started to manifest. Halloween started to manifest. Actually, that's why I'm dressed. I love my Irish heritage.
Yes.
But actually, the potato famine in Ireland started a great exodus. I mean, they lost 60 to 70% of their population. Ireland did to the potato famine.
Wow.
Yeah, and so as they came in to New York and the harbors and such, their customs spread. So they brought the turnip and they brought the carvings and they brought, their Halloween, their interpretation of it and trick or treat. And once they saw these nice pumpkins, they said, let's just carve those.
Yeah, because those are great.
The Irish had a big part with meshing their traditions with, the first colonists but they didn't really make an impact till the 1840s to the 1850s, a little pre-Civil War, a little post-Civil War. And so that's when the tradition kicked off. You had the bonfires still. You had celebration of harvest with the neighbors, and you sold cakes, and people were giving a bountiful harvest, and then, waiting for winter to come through. But the immigration swelled into the middle 1800s, and that's when it really, that's when Jack-o'-lantern came to be.
It came to be.
Stingy Jack, and that's where the Jack-o'-lantern came. Came from.
Yeah. Okay. So Stingy Jack, what do you mean by
Stingy Jack? As they told stories, he was a mischievous, ornery, crusty old Irish guy that lied to the devil twice and beat death twice. And so the story goes that the devil got so mad that when Jack died the third time, he made him walk the earth for eternity, and the only thing he had was the turnip lit by one piece of coal.
Oh,
and so when you would see, and it's so funny because people would see that over the marshes and the bogs and the peat bogs of the Celtic lands, they would think they were being haunted by old Jack, and all that was swamp gas. Swamp fire. Actually, you can
it's
see
just
it.
like an old wives' tale.
Yeah,
old wives' tale. None of that's
Don't be scared.
No, none of that's true. Right?
Yeah.
It's just an old wives' tale.
Yeah.
So definitely. So I know we were talking, and we were saying how, like in the 1920s and the 1950s, it kind of really took off.
Right.
Halloween. Right.
It took off, and mostly, the traditions were carried over from the Irish or the Celts, and the post World War II. From 45 on, those were the baby boomers, and so you had this influx, of kids being born. You
Absolutely.
had this
the
feeling
war was
of
over. Yeah,
the war was over, and so you had like these suburbs growing and just going all over, and people wanted to celebrate, and that's really when it started to the parents needed some place for the kids to go, and the communities were coming together. And so a lot of the traditional Halloween as we know it just become vogue and, post 1950.
Yeah, and now...
And the costumes were always there. The costumes, people dressed up, before, the tradition came over here, and animal skins and
Really?
We can look sort of creepy.
Yeah,
animal sacrifices back then, that was a common thing. But,
Wow.
so... Thank you, baby boomers. And
yeah, the baby boomers. And I know,
Right.
like, now, everybody dresses their dogs up. I did. And my daughters. Look at all the dogs. And my dog Odie is a pilgrim, but before he died.
they
poor
look
thing.
cute. Yeah.
And
yeah.
then that's my daughter's dog Essie as a taco. That's what she's going to be this year. So, but yeah, everybody's getting it. So how much? I know you wrote something. You've researcch that. Just tell people how much money.
I
It's
hate
crazy.
to say this. It's just, we could buy a lot with this. But
I know.
in 2021, $500 million was spent on just pet costumes alone.
Gosh.
$500 million. It was double from 2010. So in 10 years,
It's so crazy.
It is. It is.
Well, I dress my dog up all the time. So
I can see where he gets it from.
yeah. We're always dressing him up. So
Yeah.
For you neocons, those two dogs in the Darth Vader and Superman outfit.
That's it. Dog Vader.
Right.
Dog Vader.
That's Dog Vader. Those are Dick Cheney's dogs.
Oh, really?
I did
I'll
not
be
know
darned.
that.
See?
Yeah,
Huh.
The
crazy.
White House getting into it.
I know. So, anyways, with one thing, like doing all this, what I did not know, and I'm sure a lot of people maybe don't know. Maybe I'm just
Let's enlighten them.
I know. I'm just not smart, but I didn't realize that like pumpkins were a fruit. Isn't that weird? I just didn't know that, and I feel like that's so crazy that I did not know that, but I don't.
Well, a long time ago, I learned, and
And
I
you
took
have
a lot of
you have like
botany.
a farm, or
Well, we're trying.
You're trying,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But
you really are
anything-
know so much about all this. And
Well,
I
anything
find
with a
it
flower that
intriguing.
turns to a fruit. So
Yes.
the watermelons, the cucumbers, the zucchinis, the pumpkins.
Yeah.
All my blueberries. I
Yeah.
mean strawberries and tomatoes. People forget about
And did you
tomatoes.
say almonds? Wait, no.
Almonds,
No.
yeah.
Almonds. Yeah, you
is a
said
fruit.
almonds, which is so crazy to me.
Yeah. If you've ever eaten a peach in the pit,
Yeah.
that looks like they're in the
yeah.
same family.
Yeah.
The
No,
pit,
100%.
yeah. If you look at a pit, the almond before it's commercially, available to us to eat, it looks just like that. So they're first cousins, also.
And that's why I'm so important.
You got that, honeybee?
Hey, I know.
We're gonna get there.
I am so
It's-
important to all
it's-
these flowering plants.
People just take for granted to go into the grocery store and
Yeah, you do.
just get your food. They say about 40 to 50% of our food would not be around if we didn't have pollinators. Honeybees are one of the pollinators, but they're a big part of it because annually, they go up the coast and they pollinate the almond orchards. They help with the fruit, and people just go around. Commercial guys go around to the seasonal places where the crops are flowering.
I think Honey has a summer home up east.
Yeah, where's your summer home, honey?
Well, I'm one of these bees that lives long because
Well, you're the queen.
maybe
so-
maybe I am the queen, but I don't know. I thought I was a worker bee until I found out they only live for a month, and then
You'd
I'm
rather
like,
be the queen. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the-
queen can live for years.
yeah, they were saying like up to 5 years.
Yeah,
How long do you think? I mean,
So
because
as
that's what I saw, but I don't know.
As a
if that's right.
beekeeper, usually what happens in the hive, they're really
Mm-hmm.
pretty good at this. 30 million years of evolution. If the queen starts showing, her egg production goes down, or she shows signs of, just getting weak or disease or they will supersede on their own and get a new queen.
Oh,
And so they
wow.
might have several superseding queen cells in the hive. So do you know what happens? The first queen out goes around and cuts and kills the other queens that are coming out of their cell. So the first one
Oh
comes
wow!
out.
Isn't
So
that?
could you do that to your
No.
sisters?
No, I'm the nice honeybee.
You're a nice queen. Yeah,
A queen.
yeah. They do live the
Also,
longest.
I
Yeah.
just am so intrigued. I love like Animal Planet. I love hearing about all these things, these
Yeah.
little facts. But the drones, the males, and I feel like in the animal. I mean, I know. Look, my husband is good. You're great. My dad's great. They took care of us women, and for sure, But
Here
in
comes
the
the but.
animal kingdom, all these drones, all I read about them is all they do is just hang out and get the queen pregnant.
Pretty much.
That's all they do.
And like a good drone, we're being fed by the females.
Yeah, you're being fed. And these worker bees are the
Exactly.
females going out getting
We got
all
it
the
made.
Yeah, y'all do. But then I read something and I could be wrong because I just read something about it where they kick the drones out in the winter. Or is that not true?
Yeah, I would.
I would too. I'd be like, get out of here.
Well,
yeah.
they have a finite amount of pollen and pollen cakes and honey, to get them through the winter. And so it wouldn't surprise me. I should have looked it up. I don't know how the drones fare in that in their
I should know. I live
status.
in the hive.
Yeah, you should know. You're there.
I just don't know. I'm
24/7.
I'm working so hard.
I'm glad you got your sunglasses because in the hive it's all dark.
Is it?
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
Yes, indeed.
So you are a beekeeper, just to let everybody know. And
this
is your honey.
This is This is from old Clinton. And
tell them about how important it is, though, because I don't think we all understand that, because I didn't, how important it is to have so many different flowering plants for the honeybees. It affects the honey. And then how you said the drought affects,
nectar production in the flowers.
And then knocking down all the, the woods and stuff. It's terrible.
Well, in Clinton, where we are, that was my dream, to have the blueberry orchard and to have the fruit trees and have the bees, in this, coexistence. And what I found out is a lot of places clear cut all the hardwoods and they'll come in and kill everything. And then they'll plant a pine plantation. That's when pulpwood was very, it was good to have pulpwood and pine trees. There's nothing wrong with pine trees. It's just what's happening is you're destroying the forbs and the wild flowers.
Oh, wow.
From nature. And that's a problem. And then you get stressors, which, you have viruses and bacteria, and you have parasites like varroa that enter into the equation, and you have a lot of stress on these bees. Then they can't find food.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Then you have a drought that takes the nectar away from the flowers, and maybe even, the active ingredients in the pollen. So what you have is a starved bee.
Yeah, that's...
and the bees are collapsing, and it's...
Yeah, tell them about how much decrease.
I looked it up, and 40, mostly around the United States, it's a 40% from 2019 to 2020. There was a 40% just in the winter, 2018 to 2019. I'm sorry, 40% decrease in hive loss just in the winter alone. That's not counting the rest of the season. And just with my small operation, I'm still a hobbyist. I'm not a commercial guy.
Yeah.
I've seen at least a 50% decrease in my honey production.
Really?
So this is gold to me. But you can just see it because you're hands-on. You're doing it,
And people
year
don't
in, year
realize
out.
how it's so important. People don't realize how important bees and doing
And
that
then when you
is.
throw in the heat and the drought, it's like it compounds itself.
Yeah, that's tough. And it also is different colors, you were saying, depending on what they're pollinating, which is so interesting.
It's just the flowers. You get the clover honey from Walmart or the Rouse's or Calandros, the stores. And Subi is a good example. That's your clover honey. Really light. It's just because of the nectar they're getting from the flower reflects, what it is. All the girls do is get it, dry it, and cap it, and then the thief comes and takes it away. Who brings it to you?
Well,
I'm sorry.
No, but I know we had honeybees in my backyard on a tree limb, and we had somebody come in and take those bees because I didn't know much, but I knew a little bit, and I knew how important it is to. Yeah,
those are swarms. I'll take any swarms, all the time because it's expensive to replace a hive. It is. So you have to start getting knowledge and know how to reproduce them and split them, to have more bees equal more honey.
Absolutely.
Healthy bees.
Healthy bees. All right. Was there anything else that you could add to our little Halloween show?
I just don't know. I have my cousin He just won the biggest pumpkin ever.
Oh my gosh.
You can see one of the examples. I don't know if that's
every year that just like I love it. I love seeing how big these pumpkins can get because I read something about on average there's 500 seeds in each pumpkin. I don't know if that's true or not, but I read that. But like I love seeing these big pumpkins. Like I know when I go to the pumpkin patch with my grandkids and even when my kids were out, I always want to get the biggest pumpkin.
That costs you the most. I like the little ones.
No, I do, but I don't know why. It's just like when my kids were little, I was like, we have to get the biggest tree at the Christmas tree farm, and then I'd get it in, and it's like my house wasn't big. It was like the whole house was a tree.
Yeah. Well, my cousin weighed in. He got the new world record at I think it was 2,740 something pounds.
Oh my goodness!
So they have to start in April early, and I'm sure they're getting top-notch seeds.
Yes.
A pumpkin once it develops can gain 50 pounds a day.
50 pounds a day.
That's a big deal.
And it's what, like 90 to 120 days?
It's usually you start in April. So what is that, 6 months?
Oh, wow. That's how long it takes.
From start to finish.
50 pounds in one day. Thank God I'm not a pumpkin.
Well, I just had a physical today. So anyway, but I am writing our legislatures and the White House, and I'm thinking, as American as... Instead of apple pie, it should be pumpkin pie.
It should be.
Because pumpkin pie, during Thanksgiving, I say, when else do you eat pumpkin pie?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, holidays, it's like 23% on a pie chart.
Really?
Versus apple pie. And actually, pecan pie is right under pumpkin pie for favorites during the holidays.
See, that's my favorite, unfortunately.
What, pecan pie?
Pecan pie. No, I'm not going to say pecan, like I said the other day.
And actually, I feel bad because I don't eat my own relatives.
Oh, well, yeah.
I just feel bad.
Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't eat
my cousins
people.
are out there.
But, and I've never eaten pumpkin pie. And we talked about that the other day. I never ate it.
My daughter loves it. My youngest one.
And I'm going to try it this year because I always kind of got turned off because of the color. Isn't that weird?
You don't like orange, huh?
Well, I mean, I don't know
It's
why.
sort of,
But I'll drink the coffee drinks.
You like the latte spice?
I drink anything that's
pumpkin, but you won't eat it.
And I'll eat I'll eat the bread, but like I didn't try. I bet you if I try the pie, I'm gonna just devour it. I know I'm gonna like it.
I got sick one time in high school. My parents, I think they were like sweet potato pie, just a little, I don't know, rollovers or whatever, like a Hugh Big. Remember the Hugh Big pies?
New Orleans
I
thing,
got so sick. That's probably why I don't eat a lot of it.
Yeah. I probably not. It brings back bad memories. Yes,
but it's very good for you.
Really?
Everybody in my family.
Huh.
Cucurbit is the family. Cucurbitaceae. That's the gourd family that the pumpkin is part of. But
can't say that.
It's all healthy.
It is.
It's tough. It took me 3 days. Cucurbit. So it's all healthy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what are you going to do this winter? Just sort of hibernate?
Well, this winter I'm going to hibernate. If I am the queen, I guess I'm pregnant, having lots of babies, right?
Yes. Nothing.
I know there's not. So bees don't really do much in the winter, but hibernate. Is that kind of?
It's good to be it's good to be a bee in Louisiana because we don't get a lot of cold weather.
Oh, we don't. I mean,
not a lot. There's no winterization, so.
And our poor bees here, we just don't have. I mean, everything's so dry and it's
so
hot. It's terrible.
That's another thing. They have to have a good source of fresh water, and so that when I go up to Clinton, I have a water system here in Baton Rouge for my apiary, and I have one up in Clinton too.
Okay.
It's a baby pool. They love it.
That's just a baby pool. That is so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Dad, do you have anything to add with this Halloween show?
Come on, Harry.
I think we pumpkins need to stick together.
You pumpkins do. And y'all wouldn't be alive without me. Just remember that.
That's true.
Right.
And some of us have made it big, as we saw a moment ago. Some of us have turned into good. We become coaches for princesses and things like that. But then some of us don't do quite so well, and we become monsters.
Right. I know Disney's made a fortune off of my blood, sweat, and tears of my relatives.
Oh my goodness! Disney did y'all well. They did good for the pumpkin.
I want you to watch one horror show. I've actually seen Pumpkinhead. It's a classic.
I've never watched a scary movie.
All of us have kind of kind of a dark uncle that we want to forget. And, this is one of them right
That's
here.
a scary guy.
But we need more respect, us pumpkins.
Yeah.
Right outside our subdivision right here, at a local watering hole, they put up this sign that says that, queso is more important than us. And I just don't understand this.
I don't understand queso.
That either.
I'm not a queso guy. I just, it's not real cheese. I don't know what it is. I don't know what queso is.
It's like soup or something, with nothing in it.
It could be cheese whiz.
That would be not good, right?
Unfortunately, the honey likes it.
Well, I have to give them credit, though. The pumpkin was developed in Mexico and Central America. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
To our southern neighbors for that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's where it came from.
Well, good.
Predates corn and beans.
Okay.
So pumpkins were around a lot longer than them.
Well, I'd like to give one more shout out to Kevin and thank him for
I know. Thank you
our
so
Mr.
much.
Pumpkin today, and for y'all
for a
look
good
him
cause.
up here. He's got a Gmail address, so you can always find out whether you want to get a hold of some of that dark, good honey from up there at
Honey's
Hackberry
going
Honey.
home with that honey.
Watch it. That's right. I'm sorry. It's yours.
Yeah, I did all the work today to get that honey. No,
you didn't do the work. Your girls did.
My girls
Your
did.
worker bees, girl.
I am the queen.
Friend.
I am the queen.
That's right.
I just,
You're fed royal jelly, by the way.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
see,
and
I
you
love
look
it.
royal.
I'm royalty.
I think there's a song. I don't know who it is. That girl.
But no, I really do appreciate you coming, and you did so much research, and I really do appreciate that. And
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
and
I learned a lot.
You have the best personality. Great. So we're so thankful to have you.
See you next time on a different subject. Happy Halloween and happy All Souls Day.
That's right.
And
Put
Saints
flowers
Day
on
as
the
well.
grave.
That's right. Put the flowers on the grave. Go clean the graves.
That's right. Yep.
You got to clean the graves, and then they got to get blessed.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll
Absolutely.
bring some holy water.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.